Hello and welcome back to the Mineski Pro Gaming League LAN finals. Excuse me, it's getting really late or early, however you want to look at it. For me, I've been up for way too long. I have no idea what group this is in. I think it's Group B, but frankly, I don't care. I just want to watch some good Dota. We're going to have Power Play or MSI Power Play versus Insidious Idol coming up shortly on HeflaTV 1. I'm Grannis Feet, and I'll be joined again by Mr. Blackadder.
Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get straight into this next draft. We have a Naga ban, Brew's gone, Earthshaker, nope, and there'll be no Brood Mother again. Brood Mother's been banned a lot lately.
Yeah, she has. I really don't think it's warranted. Like, Broodmother's annoying to play up against, but you know exactly what Brood is going to do. Like, it's a hero that shows your cards, and especially in a first pick, that's just something that not a lot of teams are comfortable doing. So I'm not sure if it's worthwhile to ban it out, but then again, it is fairly new into Captain's Draft, so maybe the teams just aren't, or Captain's Mode, maybe the teams aren't accustomed to playing up against it yet.
Certainly a possibility, but it does mean the Death Prophet does go through. And Insidious Idol, I've cast a few games with Insidious Idol before, with you, actually. They do like their Death Prophet.
Absolutely, and it's a hero that there's a lot to like about. Just a really solid team fighting hero, does well in the laning stage, and scales pretty decently into the later portions of the game as well, especially given farm. Does start tapering off, his exorcism does get a little bit weaker come 45 minutes, but usually at that point in the game, you're pushing high ground if you have a DP on your team, so it doesn't end up really mattering much, and usually you can pass the torch on to another carry later on. Just all around a really solid pick. For power play, it's going to be a Scarth Mage.
No surprises there. That Skywrath Mage is going to be the attempted answer to the Death Prophet. Try to silence her before she can pop that exorcism, and if they can do that, they're going to have a good fight, a good advantage for power play. But Insidious Idol are a team I never like to count out. I have seen them do the impossible more than once.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely quite a lot still available in the pool, and for power play, it's going to be the Tidehunter. Just another one of those stable heroes that we're pretty accustomed to seeing in the current metagame. Nothing surprising from either team yet, and I don't expect there to be. Like, for Insidious Idol, if they want to get an extra core, Razor is still there, and they could always go for that. There's plenty of very good supports, and Vengeful Spirit's probably on the top of my list. But there's plenty of others. Elder Titan's going to be a choice for Insidious Idol. Definitely has its merits with that natural order. Buffing up the exorcism damage, it gets pretty ridiculous.
Yes, it does. I mean, Exorcism loves negative armor. I'm wondering if we're going to see more negative armor picked up in this draft. I mean, there is many a possibility here. Elder Titan certainly brings it down to zero, but who would you then go with? You could pick up the AC, of course, on the Elder Titan. You could go for, say, a Slardar, brings good stuns to the table as well. There are many an option here.
Yeah, there is. Or even just something a little bit more conservative, like just going for that Vengeful Spirit, like I was talking about earlier, would offer minus armor, and even that extra 6 that you're taking away from a maxed out wave of terror, that starts to get really significant when that's all of the armor that they have. So I mean, even that like would be completely fine and wouldn't completely pigeonhole them into a minus armor strategy either. There's a lot of different directions that Insidious Idol could go for, and whether they want to fully commit to it or not is another story. Power play are going to ban out the Meepo. Sad for me, at least. I always love seeing some Meepo played in professional Dota. I'm not sure exactly why they're super scared of it. Insidious Idol, as far as teams are concerned, they don't fall back onto the Meepo very often, but he has been seeing quite a lot of play, especially in the C scene as of late.
Yeah, well, certainly a Meepo could work out well, but you ban it considering it's going to gain all of that nice extra damage from the Elder
Yes.
Titan's spirit, and well, if they're silenced by the Death Prophet, there's nothing they can do to stop said Meepo. A Meepo can be an absolute nightmare with the right kind of backup, and you got the right kind of backup served up on a silver platter already for Insidious Idol. But
Yeah.
even when you take the Meepo out, what other options do you have for massive damage like that? As much as I don't want to say it, Tinker. Necrolite would also work out quite well, keep the longevity of the team going with the healing. The Reaper's Scythe, of course, is something not to underestimate.
Dyer's pick.
To be honest, I don't think Insidious Idol really need to focus on damage either. Like, they could just go for more stable picks. They don't really need to go all in for it, or they could. Like, there's no reason to go either direction right now with power plays choices. Tidehunter and Scarlet Mage, although they're really good heroes in their own right, they're fairly predictable, and you know exactly what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, that I'll completely agree with. And it sort of depends on what they want to pair with them, though.
5 seconds.
Yeah. This is probably going to be a pretty telling pick for power play, unless they just go for their other support. Vengeful Spirit would be nice as kind of a deny pickup against Insidious Idol, as well as comboing well with the Skyrath Mage, or just go for a different playstun support. Ogre Magi, there you go. It's going to be their choice.
Radiant's pick.
Don't even have to finish my thought, they finish it for me.
That's an uncanny prediction. I mean, it's just going to be a Zeus now. I highly doubt we'll see a Zeus, but if there's anything that can work out with it quite well, Elder Titan does provide a lot of negative magic resistance that Zeus can make all manner of good things happen with. But honestly, when I look at this, I think Death Prophet mid, Elder Titan off lane, some form of tri-lane that brings negative armor, Slardar certainly up there right now, considering there's the Ogre. Other things that do come to mind, Earthshaker could work out quite well.
Reserve time.
And I was going to say Sand King, but he is banned out in this one. So I'm thinking maybe Earthshaker plus Vengeful Spirit or Visage and Slardar.
I'm kind of feeling this is going to be a support Elder Titan. That's generally the way that he's played currently, and if they don't go for it, maybe decide to go aggressive. I think Venge is probably your safest bet as your choice here for Insidious Idol, but they can go for all sorts of things with the Elder Titan. More damage is never a bad thing, and although it's not the flashiest of heroes outside the ultimate, they're going to go for the Centaur. So I think that does bump our Elder Titan down to the support role and throw Centaur towards the offlane.
Yeah, that can work out quite well. And the support Elder Titan, whenever I see Elder Titan, I always think offlane because of the styles that I've seen it being handled before, specifically by some of the European teams. I mean, I want to say Fnatic, offlane Titan. VP, offlane Titan. You get my point. Support Titan, what do you pair it with? Especially with this draft.
Not really as much what you pair it with. Like Elder Titan, the weakest part of the hero is that laning stage, and that doesn't matter how you lane it.
Radiant's
The cries of joy from the crowd as we get to see Necro Cancer.
Hey! Hey. He's no cancer. He's Necrolite. It's a Necrolite. Get the name right as well.
Oh, Necrolite is like, oh my goodness. As much as you hate Tinker, like Necrophos is like, I don't know. It is ultimate. It changes the game in a way that's just unfun. Like being able to instantly kill a hero and then not being able to buy back. He nerfs a mechanic, which is really weird for a Dota hero. It's very strong, and I like the choice as far as this game is concerned for power play, but it's always a Necrophos.
The Necrolite, I love it. I love watching it. I love playing it. And it is one of the reasons why I love watching Team Secret lately, because they pick that Necrolite and they do all manner of good things with Kuro. But Reaper's Scythe, not only does it remove the buybacks when you got the Aghanims, adds 30 seconds to the death timer without the Aghanims. So consider that early game. Skyrath Mage dies at level 6 when the Necrophos is level 7 or 8, whatever. That takes Skyrath out for a absurdly long amount of time in the early game, which is such a key thing. It's a lot of people underestimate how powerful a Necrolite actually can be, and it also adds a lot of healing to an already tanky lineup. How does this lineup work right now? You got Tide in the offlane, Necrolite. I'm thinking safe lane farm in this one. Skyrath and Ogre support it, and then you're looking for a mid who can fight up against a Death Prophet. Invoker does come to mind right now.
Yeah, I think that's a fair choice for them. If you have an Invoker, killing somebody inside the Reaper's Scythe is so easy for power play. You pretty much just drop the Sunstrike, drop the Reaper's Scythe immediately after the fact, and then Ancient Seal them, and then they're pretty much gone.
reserve time.
Yeah, okay, I can see that, certainly. But with Idol, the Void, thoughts?
I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. I like it in combination with the Elder Titan and the Death Prophet, but with the Centaur, it feels like they're kind of filling the same role. If you're gonna go for the Centaur, I think you don't go for the Void, but honestly, I think the Void's a better choice than the Centaur, so I think they could go without picking him up. It looks like it's going to be a safe lane farming Void, off lane Centaur, and mid Death Prophet, so their lanes aren't that bad, but their teamfight initiation is a little bit janky. If you start it with the Centaur, then he's probably gonna get caught in the chrono.
It's all going to be down to where they can get their fights, where they can get the positioning. And honestly, for Idol, they're going to have to be very respectful of the lineup and damage potential of MSI here. Because if they manage to catch the Void out of position, that could be it. I mean, there's only so much a Death Prophet can do, but if you think about their lineup right now, Void, Chrono, put the Spirit in the middle from the Elder Titan, and then you've got the Exorcism just going around doing what damage they can with the negative armor.
Yeah.
If they take the Void out of that, that removes the linchpin. Then it's a case of they all just kill outright the Death Prophet or the Titan.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And usually Earth Splitter isn't that big of a spell, but when you combine it with the Chronosphere, it can reliably hit on 2+ targets. And that's amazing. Like, it's very easy to underestimate how much damage that thing does, and you only need 1 point into it. The last ban for Insidious Isle is actually very peculiar, for me at least. Anti-Mage, I don't think that would have been the scariest of heroes for them to go up against. What do you think this is setting up for?
Banning the Anti-Mage, you could be looking to set up for maybe a Storm Spirit and then have...
How would the
No.
lanes work then? You have an Elder
No,
Titan
no,
and
no,
a
no.
Centaur.
Yeah, that's the way that I'm thinking curiously here. I mean, it's got to be a high mana pool hero, unless it's just protection for the Death Prophet.
10 seconds to go.
I think it might just be protection for the Death Prophet in hindsight. Like, there's...
Seconds.
Enigma.
That would be so
Greedy.
greedy coming out from them.
10
Like, if
seconds
you look
to
at their
go.
lanes, you can't get greedier than that. They're going to have a solo Centaur. It's going to be Witch Doctor. Okay, so I love this choice.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, it's a pretty stupid amount of damage when you think about it. With the Natural Order and the Witch Doctor Death Ward, like, Faceless Void doesn't need to do anything but drop the Chrono. If it catches out 3 heroes, it's a 1-team
Fight's
fight.
over.
Yeah.
Fight's over. It does seriously make it a case of Void is the linchpin. Deal with the linchpin, you can win a fight. Leave Void to do his own thing, you lose.
Places everyone.
More or less, and Jed is going to be playing on the Faceless Void. Known as a mid-hero, he has been hyped a little bit, is going to be playing there. We're going to have Yumu on the Witch Doctor with Ysera on the Death Prophet. Elder Titan down bottom, going to be played by Shagasaurus. Last but not least, our Centaur, going to be handled by Alice. Going up early, but with no wards. Very interesting movement coming up from the Centaur. Maybe just pump faking that he's placing wards out.
Indeed, and of course, on the flip side of that coin, starting with a Tide, we've got Cuckoo on the Tide. I'm guessing that's where they're putting their names at the end of it.
Looks that way.
Yeah, Cuckoo on the Tide. Then we've got Aladdin on the Templar Assassin. Ironically fitting name. We've got Trick on the Ogre. We've got Yui on the Necrophos. And finally, rounding out the side for MSI, we have Relax on that Skywrath Mage.
This is going to be a tri-lane versus tri-lane setup for both of these teams, and it's a fairly interesting one at that. Not the heroes that immediately come to mind when you think of an aggressive tri-lane. I'm not sure exactly why they decided to go for this, with the Necrophos as the farming core inside of the lane. He's going to offer a lot of Night Sustain, and the supports do have a lot of killing potential, but are they really going to be able to shut down the enemy team enough, I wonder? This is definitely the lane to watch. Mid lane Death Prophet versus Templar Assassin should be favored towards DP, but not amazingly so. Centaur towards Tidehunter should be favored towards the Tidehunter, but again, not amazingly so. Both heroes should be able to get the farm. And bottom lanes where we pretty much have all of the killing potential, unless somebody completely oversteps their bounds or gets a lucky rune.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be camping a lot of our time on this bottom lane, considering, honestly, a tri-lane Necrolite is uncommon, but the last team that I can think did it was Secret, and they completely decimated with it. I believe it was with an IO, though.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair to, I don't know, reference everything back to Team Secret because they are just so damn good. But
I
it
only
is fair,
reference it
like,
to them because they pick up Necrolite the
oh yeah,
most.
yeah, and that's probably the reason why you kind of have to. Like, Necrolite, he is getting a lot more play than he has as of late after those changes. Currently up in top, both of these heroes trading hits, and it's going to be Tidehunter to get the better half of that exchange as he has the DD rune. No kill attempt down in bottom, and Centaur, he has plenty of regen to go through this, but he is going to force through the majority, if not all of his tangos, with just that first exchange.
It's going to be a rough one, in all honesty. Losing that many tangos so early is a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
You need those tangos to survive this kind of lane, and, well, this is big problem territory right now. Sure, they're going to stack, pull through, and get what gold they can, but all it takes is one rotation with, say, the Ogre getting a stun, getting the multicast, and then Reapers dropping, say, at level 6, for a wipe to happen. But across the other lanes, the interesting ones, let's take a look at mid quickly. We've got Ysera, oh, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Yeah, that is Ysera, up against Aladdin on the mid lane. This is a matchup that I'm going to actually have to favor the Templar for, considering the Death Prophet before Exorcism doesn't really have a good way to break the refraction.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair, and without the extra ras from Crypt Swarm, your ability to win lanes is very limited. His server drops very low to a little bit of spill damage, but ends up surviving, and with the bottle flying out, it's not going to be the end of the world for the DP, but definitely needs to be careful. If you step up too close, you might just be at the receiving end of a sideblade spill.
Aye, and I suppose before we get a bit too ahead of ourselves, we're going to have to go by tradition here. Who are you putting your money on?
Insidious Idol. I think their lineup is just a little bit scarier once they get those initiating tools online. Chronosphere and Blink on Centaur.
I'm going to bet on what could be the drafted underdog here. Based on drafts alone, I'm going to say Necrolite is going to win this. MSI power play, definitely for me.
Yeah, he is always that X factor. If you can kill off the Faceless Void inside a Reaper Scythe and he doesn't backtrack that ulti, could be huge.
Yeah, certainly. And from where I sit, it's a case of it comes down to this tri lane. Whoever wins this tri lane is going to have a distinct advantage into the mid game, and that could be all they need to really snowball this on before Insidious Idol can really get that kind of team play going. But of course, I've seen Insidious Idol far, far more than I have seen Power play. So I'm not going to count Insidious Idol out by any stretch of the imagination, but
Oh, I was not expecting that to go down, but Tidehunter, I'm not sure if that's technically First Blood or not, but he ends up falling, and it looks like he fell to the tower. Rotation from the Elder Titan, just trading a little bit too much with that Centaur.
I believe that does take First Blood off the table because it wasn't to a neutral. The money would have been split between the two heroes. So it's all going to boil down to that. We're going to see on the next kill anyway. But Templar's going to continue farming up in that mid lane, and the tri-lane is starting to exert some form of pressure onto this bottom lane. And Jed could be in a lot of trouble, of course, with the Elder Titan rotating away to gank. It does give that opening for that one-man advantage push to start building.
Yeah, outside of that First Blood, all of the other lanes for power play were looking really good, but now Jed, Fire Blasted mid-time walk animation, is able to get it off, but still dropping pretty low, will be saved by some Voodoo Restoration coming out from his allies, although he was cutting it close.
That was cut incredibly close. If he didn't have Voodoo Restoration there, that would have easily been a kill.
Yeah, it's not something you count on if you're Jed, and power play, that is the power of all of these heroes. So much damage from this supporting duo whenever they have the mana to throw out their spells. And level 2 on the Ogre, level 3 on the Scarth Mage, pretty much all you could want. Although we don't have Point in Silence for the Scarth, if you went for that instead of the second Point in Arcane Bolt, that might have also been a kill since he wouldn't get off the Time Walk. Oh,
yeah, speaking of kills, they're going to find Shagasaurus. He's in a bad way. Does get the Death Pulse as well. 2 more right clicks should spell his doom, and the kill does go the way of the Ogre.
Yeah, going to burn him down with that Ignite. A fairly easy kill for power play, and even with that death on the Tidehunter, he's still looking pretty good up in the top lane. A little bit less than the Centaur, but not overwhelmingly so, and he's still able to hold his own in the lane with the bottle running to sustain himself up against the Tranquil Boots of the Centaur. Both heroes should be just fine, saving up for that Blink Dagger, and probably getting at a similar rate. This laning stage, even though it's 1-1, and they lost First Blood on power play, it's still looking good for them, especially since their TA is just doing as well as she is up against this DP. Currently 27-11 compared to 16-4. Again, we're going to see jump up top, hoof stomp onto Cuckoo. No further damage. The double edge is cooling down, but Tidehunter can't go for any more. Salving up, he's going to be just fine, and both of these heroes can trade blows pretty effectively.
Yeah, the more they can trade blows, the better, in all honesty. But from where I sit right now, this is still a fairly even game. We look at the last hits right now, distinct advantage for MSI power play, 1 kill apiece, so it could work out in their favor, especially if the Necrolite can keep getting last hits like this. I mean, you give Necrolite any form of last hit advantage and he gets the ability to tank up, that's fine, but they'll still lose the Tidehunter up on that top lane to Shagasaurus and Alice. That's the threat of, well, what is essentially, I believe, Stampede. That was the first Stampede of the game, and it will spell doom.
Yeah, level 6 on both the Tidehunter and the Centaur, a huge trigger for aggression. They're going to throw an Arcane Bolt and a Concussive Shot into Jed. He backtracks the Arcane Bolt, and he's going to be just fine. Faceless Void, this game is going to be functioning more or less like an offlane Faceless Void, but I think that's perfectly acceptable for Insidious Idol, but only if their other lanes are going a little bit better. Like Centaur, getting those kills on the Tidehunter is super important. Alice is going to be the first one to really need to carry some weight. Stomp in mid, catches out Aladdin, but they won't be able to do anything further.
No, unfortunately it won't, and Ysarius does not have the damage.
Ravage up top. Tidehunter's trying to strike back onto Alice, though. Stop under the tower, however, and the jukes from Alice. Looks like Alice is going to be able to run out of this cleanly with the Tranquil Boots regen and speed.
I suppose that's the threat of this kind of matchup. It all comes down to whoever can land the better stuns, and Alice has had the better way of this game so far. But while that's happening, we do have rotations coming in from the supports through the jungle, but Now in comes the rotation from the Shagosaurus. They're going to try to go onto you. Yu's not going to escape this one. The natural order is just too much, even at level 1, and that will spell the doom of the Necrolite.
Yeah, Centaur being pursued again by Cuckoo. Really wants to kill off this Centaur, but isn't going to end up being able to do so. Doesn't have really enough mana to pursue that one, and Alice is too healthy, even with only, like, 360 HP or some odd.
Radiant's mid tower
But
getting back.
we are going to see more reinforcement come down towards that bottom lane. Yu's back here. Are they going to try to make a play down here? This seems to have already gone in favor of Insidious Idol on this tri-lane. Sure, Jed's not got anywhere near as much in terms of last hits, but the ability to rotate and kill Yui could be the big thing.
Yeah, it really could. I don't think this Faceless Void really needs last hits, to be fair. Items are nice to have on Jed, but I think he's more or less there for Chrono, to make sure the Exorcism damage comes out, as well as just that Witch Doctor Death Ward. They don't have the full combination up yet, as Yumu does not have near enough levels, currently only level 3 on this Witch Doctor. But once that's up, Jed is just there for the lockdown. I think this might be a pretty good Aghanim's game for him.
Yeah, I think this will be the perfect Aghanim's game for him. If they can just get that Chronosphere up reliably, that's going to spell his doom. And when I say that Void won this, Jed already has his Chronosphere, considering. And now they've got the Death Pulse. Sure, they're going to bring down the Witch Doctor from a good rotation in from the side by Trick, but you've still got Jed getting experience, and he's already got a Morbid. So where does he go from here? He could certainly go for the full Aghanims. That would be an option. Reduce the cooldown to 60 seconds and just look to abuse the Chrono as much as possible. Look for that kind of off-lane Void style that we saw a couple of months back.
I have a feeling he's going to go into Tread's Mask of Madness before going into the Ags, if he does go for it at all. But I think that's my favorite build. Like, Mask of Madness should be enough, as long as you get off that ulti. We'll have to see. Down in bottom, this Necrophos, I didn't notice it because of the changed icons, but he's actually completely avoided Sadist, going for the most aggressive build possible. Jump in, Time Walk, they have the Stampede, looking for a Chronosphere, but can't connect it onto anybody immediately. Necrophos off to the sidelines. They'll be able to kill off Relax very easily. One or two more right clicks, TP away from him. Oh, it's going to succeed. Chronosphere lands onto literally nothing.
It's a Lotus Sphere at the end of the day.
Oh, shots fired. My goodness, tier 1 tower down in bottom is going to be taken by the Exorcism now of Insidious Idol.
I'm not sure I agree with the whole avoiding Sadist completely. Sadist is one of those things that make Necrolite what he is. The able to sustain through the fight, get a kill, keep fighting kind of hero that he is. So the extra point in Heartstopper, what does it give? 0.3 more damage a second.
Yeah, I think the one
versus
value
regeneration.
point. Yeah. One value point in Heartstopper, at least for me, is all you need, but now down in bottom, it's now power play to look for an initiation themselves. Concussive Shot is going to fly through onto the Faceless Void, but the Stomp to disengage should be pretty clean, but Shagosaurus is tagged by the Gush. Slowed down, I think Elder Titan still makes it out of here alive, has just a little bit too much backup.
They got out at the right time. As long as they can keep the control in terms of positioning, they realize, yep, they're coming for us. Yeah, they're going to be absolutely fine this game. But now we do have Reapers online. This is where the game starts to shift a bit more, and if Yui can get the Reapers to drop on the right targets, this is the thing that can just end the game here for Insidious.
Yeah. They'd love to have that level 6 on the Scarth Mage before they use the Reaper Scythe, just to ensure that they more or less die. Being locked in place for 1.5 seconds inside a Mystic Flare is not a happy place to be, and Shagosaurus might be at the receiving end of this first Scythe if they even need it. They're going to drop right clicks, a couple of Death Pulses, a Meld Strike, and there is your Scythe. We'll secure the kill onto Shagosaurus. Down for 50 seconds at this point in the game is pretty damning.
It's pretty ridiculous as well. That's going to take out his ability to get any form of experience for a much longer time than otherwise would normally be possible. And it will be this tier 1 in the mid lane as well. Aladdin with a DD rune. What is it with Templar Assassins and DD runes lately?
They just seem to be magnetic. Like, I don't know. It's probably one of the best, if not the best, rune for Templar Assassin. Haste rune comes as a close second. Depending on the situation, can be a little bit better. But now, power play, they're going to look to make a play of themselves and look towards this Roshan. It's not the fastest Rosh, but it's pretty darn secured if you have that meld, as well as just being able to tank it. Honestly, Templar Assassin's getting really close to the point where she's able to solo it. And they also have Gush to drop into Rosh as well. Lots of minus armor is going to mean this Roshan, it's pretty easy for them to take.
Being able to get an early Roshan like this, 11 minutes is just perfect. If they can just maintain an advantage like that, that's going to be absolutely fine. But now they're going to look for Relax. They do get the cast bounce. It's only going to bounce on one, though, and they're going to Stampede. They're chasing Relax, and they're completely oblivious to the fact that they're in Roshan. Now in comes the stab from behind, and Alice in a lot of trouble. Will be brought down. Can they get more off the back of that? It's a 1-for-1, but It's a support for an offlaner, and it's certainly advantage
Oh, yeah.
advantage MSI to that one. That backstab was just comical. But now Shagasaurus going to put Cuckoo to sleep. Are we going to see any more from this one? I don't think we are. They're all going to back up. They have to respect that Witch Doctor. He doesn't have his Death Ward, though. He's only level 5. They could look to push this one, especially with those slows coming in from that Templar, but they're not going to overextend too much here. They're going to rotate back into Roshan, look to try to finish that one off.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a chance that Insidious Idol can contest this. They'll be annoying with the constant Elder Titan spam, but they use their Chronosphere to kill off that Skyrath Mage, and power play, they have their Ravage, as well as the Reaper's Scythe up for Yui. It looks like it's just going to be a pretty clean Roche for them. In fact, Yui, he's going to go for a pretty late hand to Midas, but as far as late Midases are concerned, it's a pretty good timed one.
I'm not sure how I feel about that on a
I like
Necrolite.
it.
I'll come back to this as we've got a fight kicking off, as Alice does take some damage. You've got a cast bouncing around between Yui and Trick, but Roshan is still falling. Earth Splitter comes down, does connect onto Aladdin, but it doesn't matter. The Roche already fell. Templar has that Aegis, and it seems they're all going to back up. They don't really want to risk fighting this one, but Cuckoo may be overstaying his welcome a little bit. In comes Trick once more. They do have a Ravage to fight this one. If they want to rotate back in on it, then they're going to just focus on Trick. Stun goes out onto Alice before he can hoof stomp, and just poking and prodding. Doesn't seem like we're going to see that fight we want to see. Alice, however, does get gushed up. Now in comes a rotation from Yui, but a Crib Swarm's going to make them think again, it seems.
TA assassinates the Witch Doctor. They're going to continuously trade some spells, but for now it looks like that's going to be a lull in the action. I'll let you talk about the Midas now, as we have a little bit of time to just chill.
Yeah. Well, Midas, we consider Midas on paper. It does give quite a bit of gold and level acceleration. The thing with a Necrolite, and this is something that I've always considered with him, Necrolite can do more the longer he is in a fight. That's more healing, and as long as he has that longevity and capacity, he can keep casting Death Pulse, and of course throw the Reapers out. So the primary goal on a Necrolite, in my mind, is to tank up. Midas just gives you the and gold acceleration, plus a little bit of attack speed. Other options, Drum, help you tank up, give you all those important stats. Could build to a Shivas. Atos even. Atos is a phenomenal item on that hero. Health and mana. Anything that can tank you up in terms of capacity of health and mana is golden. Shivas does get mentioned as well because of the high armor up against a team that specializes in removing armor.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on the Midas. Any one item for Yui is not going to be enough to be tanky enough up against Insidious Idol. I think Drums is an absolute no-no. This game looks like it's going to be going towards the later portions. Ideally, Necrophos this game is going to have like an Aghanim Scepter and a Shivas, and I think this is going to secure him the levels that he's much needing, especially after going for 2 points in the Heartstopper aura. His sadist is very lackluster, and he wants to get more points to that ASAP. And I think it's an okay choice. We'll have to see if it's punished. It might in hindsight be bad, but I think we'll find out one way or another in about 20 minutes.
Well, I think he's keep getting stacks like this. This will certainly help out. But are they stacking up for the Necrolite, or are they stacking it up for someone else?
Well, we'll see. Even without the Aegis, or the Aegis going to the enemy team, I should say, Insidious Idol still seem pretty comfortable to push. They'll use the Exorcism and get a tier 1 tower. No big surprises there. Tier 2 tower proves to be a little bit too much for them to go for, and at least for now they're going to back off. They are Sans, they're Faceless Void, so I mean, I think that taking this fight is pretty much a no-no. They'll lose the tier 1 tower down in bottom, so for now it's just a 1-1 trade.
Aye. And a trade like that, in all honesty, completely fine.
Oh, Yui!
But yep, they're going to go on to Yui and burst him down before he can do anything. Even over-committing with the Earth Splitter, I really don't feel that they needed to commit that much. But now they've got an Ewell's up for the Death Prophet, and that could cause all manner of problems. Alice does eat a Ravage, though. In comes a Mystic Flare. That's going to kill off that Centaur. Big cooldown for just one kill, though.
Yeah, both teams use quite a lot of cooldowns in that. I don't think the Ravage is worth it there for Cuckoo. They probably could have gone without, but if he caught more than that, it could have been more kills. So I suppose it's okay to go for it, although it was very unlikely they eclipse the Witch Doctor and Elder Titan on their retreat. They smoke up immediately, looking for blood, and the blood that they might find is the Witch Doctor or the Death Prophet in mid, but for now, they're nowhere close, and it doesn't look like the aggressive move is going to come out immediately. They're instead going to set their sights on the Faceless Void in bot.
If they can kill off the Void, that's going to help them out to no end. Keeping the Void down is something we've been saying throughout this game is going to be absolutely necessary. And he has gone for that Mask of Madness and into a Glove of Haste. So we're looking for a Maelstrom. We're not going to be looking for any form of Aghanims, it seems. And in comes the smoke from Insidious Idol. They want to hunt and they want to get kills. But who are they going to find? They're going to go straight on to Cuckoo by the looks of things, or Relax. And if they can bring down the Tide, that's going to be perfect. But they prop the Chronosphere and it's only on to Relax. So a big cooldown used for just one kill. Fast fingers coming out of Cuckoo, saving him. But now comes the potential for fight. They're going to bring down the Death Ward and kill off 2 very easily with the cask bouncing between them. In comes Aladdin looking to try to get a counter kill, but he just walks into his death. However, the Aegis will at least give him some kind of second chance at this, but who'd you go on? I don't see this being advisable either way, and he's going to go down a second time. Hell, they're going to jump and look to bring down Yui, but what's that? Blink Dagger Necrolite.
Yeah, okay, so this is actually a really popular build right now. I personally don't like it very much. It's really nice to get in position for ultimate, but I think Atos does what Blink does better, as far as item slots are concerned, and just what you want on Necrophos now. It's okay, and Blink Dagger on anybody, it's really hard to question it, but there might be more impactful items.
I don't like this, and here's my reasoning for it. They already have a Tide who can just get into the fights with a Blink. Does he have a Blink? Yes, he does. They have the initiation power of the Tide with the Ravage. Then in comes the Necrolite with, say, the Atos. That will give him more health, more mana. If he comes in with a Blink Dagger, he doesn't gain any stats at all from that, and his mana capacity right now isn't really that high. So he's gone for 2 items that don't give him any mana capacity at all.
Fair enough. It's I don't know, up to personal choice. It's going to be in the next couple of items where Necrophos really hits his stride. This might be key in a couple of pickoffs, but I think only time will tell. Kind of like the Midas, which is currently sitting unused in Yui's inventory, which is very unfortunate for him. Needs to find a creep ASAP.
Sooner he gets a creep, sooner he abuses that Midas, the sooner it'll pay off, and that's the downside of this. And they're going to go for a smoke, so I don't think he's going to find a creep anytime soon. But
Rip Mud Golem.
Rip Mud Golem. That's going to be the thing he takes if he wants to, but he's instead going to go straight for the kills, it seems, and ignore the creeps altogether, so he's going to take one from this camp instead. But they're hunting, and they're finding nothing. This is a big problem. They are wasting about a minute right now.
Yeah, and that's a minute where Death Prophet's farming mid. She's not getting jumped, and she may or may not know that something's going on, but she's going to avoid death. Centaur's farming up towards top, and Elder Titan's getting a couple of levels as well. Elder Titan up until this point just has 1 point into the aura, which is okay, I suppose. I personally don't like it, but he will get those levels eventually. Elder Titan is hero, as far as heroes are concerned, does take quite a long time to fully get online, especially when played as a support.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem in all honesty. The time it takes them to come online, but in comes the defense to this top lane. Yui's up here first. This softer target, and now in comes the rotation. They're going to go on to Cuckoo. The Earth Splitter drops. Do they have the Ravage? They use it. Going to stun out everyone just after the Chrono lands. So that's at least going to buy some time for Trick to get out. This multicast comes through. Down goes Jed, but the Exorcism is up. The Necrolite died immediately. He has no health, no armor, no capacity at all to take damage. And, well, that is the nightmare encounter for them. The Necrolite dying before he can even heal a single person.
Then again, Faceless Void and Centaur also suffer a similar fate. I'm going to call that a pretty even trade. Both teams use really big teamfight ultimates and kill off an offlaner and a safe lane farmer.
Even, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Necrophos' build is okay, but his positioning in that last fight was subpar, and that's what Blink is really supposed to give you, is that amazing positioning. Not working out in that fight, and it looks like he's going to be going for... That might just be a casual chainmail for him. Is Necrophos going to be building anything off of that? Jumping for a hoof stomp, lands on the 2, focusing relax, but now multicast by the Ogre. The paralyzed cast bouncing back and forth to 2 is going to end the Skywrath Mage's life, and now into Aladdin. They'll find even more as they're going to bash down the Ogre. 3 free kills for Insidious Idol off of a very nice hoof stomp of Alice.
I'm going to say that's going to be a mechanism. They don't have a mech yet, and it's a Necrolite. Necrolite, the saying I always like to say with him, he's a semi-carry with a mech.
I don't like that saying. I think he needs a little bit more smashy items after going for a Midas. I think you can afford to go for 2 of these items, like Midas into mech, or Blink into mech, or something along those lines, or mech into Blink. But I don't think you can go for all 3. Your slots just get too crowded. I think you need to go for something bigger, but it is going to be the mechanism. It's not a bad item to have by any means, but At 20 minutes in, I would think going for a Shivas would be my first thought.
Dire's mid
Yeah,
tower.
Shivas or Atos. I really do like Atos on him because it gives him health, and well, he's got less than 900 health. That will evaporate, especially when you've got natural order there. And well, the siege is already up on this top lane again. That tower's going to fall to no defense. They can't really afford to defend it either.
Yeah, I think in order to stay in the front lines this game, Necrophos needs like Ags, Heart, and Shivas, and I don't see any of those items being worked on. And his impact in this game, I don't know, it's going to try to help the Templar Assassin and all of the other heroes survive a little bit more, so the mechanism is nice in that respect and gives him 250 extra effective HP. We'll just have to see. In the end, it all relies on this Chronosphere coming out from the Faceless Void. Everybody's pretty even on the farm. The net worth as well as the experience costs are more or less negligible. It's a 3,000 advantage towards Insidious Idol either way. But at this point in the game, especially since they're advantaged by 2 towers in their favor, I don't think that really means much of anything.
Thing here is, for me, Insidious Idol are just getting objective after objective, yeah? These towers are falling in their favor. The 2-tower advantage may not be much, but they are getting more out of their items for the gold they've achieved from those 2-tower advantage. As we've said, I mean, now you've got the mechanism as well on UE, as well as the Blink Dagger and the Midas. You've got on the Templar Assassin a Desolator Yasha. Desolator Yasha completely fine. I do like that. But Tide, he's got Blink Dagger now. He's going for, I believe this is a 4-staff.
Yeah, very, very well should be. I don't think there's anything else that comes to mind.
Yeah, now look on the flip side of that coin. You've got Jed with components for BKB coming up. He's already got a Mask and a Maelstrom. Now they're going to be looking to hoop in here. They're going to find Yui. In comes the Stampede. This could be a very bad thing, and they're going to lose the Necrolite immediately. He gets one heal off, gets the mech off. He's actually buying some time, but goes down to one more right click, and now you've got Jed just chewing through everything inside that Chronosphere. 3 heroes down for nothing in favor of Insidious Idol.
And now outside of the Chronosphere, the Witch Doctor ultimate being challenged. TP attempt coming out from Cuckoo, probably going to succeed as they just don't have the vision or the means to cancel it from range. So in the end, it's just going to be 3 kills going the way of Insidious Idol, but still a convincing lead for them. And that's the power of their teamfight initiation. Honestly, I don't think any other items that Necrophos would have gone for would have saved him that situation. I mean, there's really just nothing that they could do. Whenever the Chronosphere and a Hoof Stomp lands well for Insidious Idol and they're fighting with Exorcism, the damage is just too much. Even with Natural Order not being maxed out, that's about to get to that max potential, and their damage is pretty obscene. Power play, they just need a little bit more. Double silence, Eul Scepter on the Ogre. Time walk forward from Jed's not going to do much of anything. Concussive shot and Arcane bolted up. Not going to take much damage either. Blink in from Cuckoo. Doesn't have a Ravage, however. He's acting like it. Doesn't gush or cast any spells afterwards. Alice is going to be slowed up, but will be able to blink away. And has a 4-staff as well. If he really needs to get out of there, and it looks like he will. He might end up 4-staffing Kampaku, and he will end up doing that. Witch Doctor is going to be back up with his friends shortly. Templar Assassin mops up this creep wave, but for now, power play don't find anything.
Which, again, is a problem here. They need to be trying to force something. They need to be trying to get some form of comeback gold. I mean, you were saying that, we're coming back to the Necrolite again, but you were saying that any kind of item choice other than that probably wouldn't have saved him with that kind of ultimate initiation. I'll agree. Slightly better positioning, though, and items to help him tank up, I reckon would have done him better, because how do you deal with a Necrolite on a team? Necrolite does more the longer he's in a fight. You pop him first instantly with your cooldowns.
Yeah, and that's what they've been doing very effectively, and they have a good team at doing so. Inside the Roge Pit, it's going to be Aladdin trying to solo this one up with the Desolator as well as the Meld Strike. They're going to gush up the poor Witch Doctor. Ghost Scepter's going to save his life as he does block that physical damage. 4-staff with the high ground coming out from the center. Alice looks like he's going to live as well, and power play don't find anything, but in the meantime, it's Jed to kill off the poor Ogre Magi as well as Skarath Mage.
That's the thing with the Faceless Void. You leave him to do anything, and he can become a force to be reckoned with. We were saying that possibly Aghanims possibly could go for the let's protect the Void, go for the Chronosphere with the shorter cooldown build. But he's just gone for the flat-out damage build, and you've got to also think it's still working.
Oh yeah,
they're finding everything within that Chronosphere with all of that extra damage.
I don't think it really mattered what Faceless Void's build is, as long as when he has the Chronosphere, he makes it count. They're going to put a lot of damage in Alice, but he still survives. 4-staff's going to prove to be a little bit too much for Templar Assassin to chase through, and Centaur, he's not looking too healthy, going to be forced all the way back to base, or at least for now onto the back lines of fight while he waits for Tranquil Boots to kick in. But still, inside Idol, they just have a little bit of a teamfight edge over power play. The Ravages from the Tidehunters, they've been okay, but they haven't been amazing. And anything less than that for power play is unacceptable at this point.
In complete agreement. And the other thing is, they've, as far as I know, have only dropped one Reaper Scythe.
I think that was the early one in the Elder Titan, and it
Yeah.
was right after he got 6, and I don't think we've seen one since. He just dies so quickly.
The more kills you can get with Reaper's Scythe in its current incarnation, the better. It takes Insidious Idol off the field for longer and just buys MSI more time to get exactly what they need, space to farm. And who are they farming on, though? They've got Aladdin trying to finish up, I'm guessing, a Manta next, or maybe a BKB. The other person that needs to farm is, of course, the Necrolite. I mean, I'm not too sure right now with the draft of MSI what they were really trying to accomplish.
I think the plan for them is pretty clear, but they just haven't been able to follow it through. Templar Assassin in lane did a really good job, but that didn't really transition into any immediate kills for them. The Tidehunter Ravages have been okay, but not good enough to really secure teamfight victories when they're fighting up against a Chronosphere of the Void and just the raw damage. I think the hidden MVP for Insidious Idol is this Elder Titan. Just always being there with some pretty nice Earth Splitters, even though he's very liberal with them. I think that's better than the alternative. And whenever they snap back somebody, it's a huge amount of damage. And just offering the aura for his team, it's incredibly significant. I think the rest of his teammates have really been benefiting from that. I thought the Witch Doctor would be doing a lot more damage inside these fights. But in the end, he doesn't have to pull the weight. Everybody from Insidious Idol has a job to do, and even if they're losing one of those parts, they still have enough to win team fights.
Yeah, they've just gained too much too quickly, I feel. And we can sort of reflect this in the graphs if we look at it. We've got about a 10,000 gold lead the way for Insidious Idol, and much the same in terms of experience, 10,000 lead. Quite the steep hill that MSI need to climb in this one.
Definitely, and that's problematic for them. Even if they kill off the Faceless Void and he's down for a long time, doesn't get the BKB off before the Reaper's Scythe, or doesn't backtrack, or what have you, they still have a Centaur to initiate, and they've been able to make it work. I kind of was hesitant about it inside the draft, but if they jump in with the Chronosphere first, they follow up very nicely with the Centaur Hoof Stomps, and more often than not, the Centaur's the first one to jump in. Catches 2 to 3 inside those Hoof Stomps. He's been doing an admirable job. Blink Dagger for the Templar Assassin. It's going to be a nice item, and will allow her to go aggressively behind this tier 1 tower up top, but doesn't find the Elder Titan as he's spamming out, but will secure a tier 1 tower for Aladdin. Not all is lost for power play, but it's looking all the more grim. With Exorcism Pop, Insidious Idol will be able to take a Roshan.
Yeah, it's still looking bleak, though. That Roshan, Aegis onto the Void, being a very tall order to climb here. And are they considering this? They could go onto Cuckoo and Trick. If they can bring Cuckoo down within, say, the Chronosphere, that could spell doom here, considering he does have that Ravage available.
He is
and now,
smoked up.
many things are spelling doom in this game, by the way.
Oh, they really are. We'll have to see. It is a Ravage as well as a Reaper's Scythe, which is really hard to count out from power play. Like, just one beautiful Ravage can completely turn the fight, or one Reaper's Scythe on a key target, especially if he ever finds the farm to get an Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. I'm looking at Yui right now, and I'm just not seeing where that farm's going to come from. He's got 2.5k now, considering there's not been a fight in the last few minutes.
I mean, it's kind of the Midas value at this point. It is
Yeah.
starting to pay off, and that's the only reason why he's kind of staying in this game at this point. Yeah, I think it is starting to pay for itself, but he's kind of sacrificed a little bit of his fighting potential for it.
Here comes the Aghanims. First thing is picked up the point booster. So if we can get that Aghanims online, we can look for maybe a good fight with the Reaper's Scythe. But still, double Yules up onto this Tide, and he's just not having a fun time. They're poking and prodding at him just for laughs.
He's having a grand time. He's spinning up in the air. It's like a carousel ride. He's, I don't know. He's back in the base. Tidehunter can't really do much of anything, and the game's stalled out, which I think is okay for power play, especially since they don't have to fight into the Aegis Faceless Void. But then again, the Death Prophet and Faceless Void are getting quite a lot for themselves. Hard on the DP. Power play are going to have a hard time bringing her down unless they get like a full Reaper, full Mystic Flare and a Reaper Scythe on top of that DP. And then Faceless Void is also going to be working towards whatever his next item is. I think just finishing up the Mjolnir is probably the first thing that comes to mind. But either way, Jed's going to have it very quickly.
Yeah, and as soon as he can get that, the better. But We're already seeing the ward control coming out of Insidious Idol, and they're just posturing, looking for that tier 2 in the mid lane. If they can get that tier 2, they might even be able to push on to tier 3, depending on how many heroes they can take with it.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think they're going to be able to take any, because I don't think Power Play are going to contest. This is a double life Faceless Void with Chronosphere, and just not a fight they can be comfortable taking. It might just be a necessary evil to give up this tower, especially since it's on so low HP. Like, this is at the very best to deny, but nobody's even close. It's going to be a right click given to the catapult, but ends up not mattering. Now it's time for Insidious Idol to think about pushing high ground, and I think that is going to be the call. There's not really anything else that they're waiting for.
Yeah, in comes the Spirit. They're trying to set up for this, but Yui, he's not going to get caught this time. It's still a tense moment, because they could technically do an upset here if they can bring, say, down Ysera, and I think Ysera is going to be the one they need to bring down if the Chronosphere goes off. If they can bring down the Void, otherwise that's fine, but if they kill Ysera now once the Exorcism's been popped, that's gold. If they can multicast her maybe and then look to Reapers, that could do it.
It definitely could, but the tier 3 tower is almost already gone with hardly anything except for this exorcism committed by Ysera. Everybody's in position to jump. The 4-staff blink on Alice is going to mean that he can get really close. Time walk into the base. Chronosphere catches out 2, focused down to relax in about 4 swings of his mace, and now he's going to kill off the Tide Hunter. Before any Ravage is involved, he has no buyback on that Tide. Yui is going to look for the scythe kill, and Ysera is going to drop him low, but Eul's Scepter saves the Death Prophet, and now with the Spirits coming back, she's at full life. They'll focus down Yui. Death Ward channeled. That's going to be 3 clean kills going the way of Idol. Now looking for more. Jump forward, 4-staff into the hoof stomp on a Trick. They'll stomp him down with the ET. It's Templar Assassin versus the world. They have a buyback onto that Necrophos. Does snipe off the Centaur, but the Barracks are the ones to fall.
Yeah, and with those barracks going down, the lesson in futility may have been learned here by Power Play. If they lose these and they have no way of stopping it, it could be 2 sets of racks, 2 full sets, I think. Rotation down to the bottom one. These are already slightly damaged. How long before we have another Exorcism? 80 seconds, but that does not matter. There's just too much damage.
He's holding onto his buyback, and now they're going to focus into Aladdin. They might kill Jed once, but they won't even do that. There's a Mystic Flare on top of him. He backtracks a couple of pulses. They can't kill him once. It doesn't even matter. He's going to have the completed Mjolnir flying out to him on the courier. Tanks the tower like a boss. Mjolnir up. Yule's up the Tide, and for now they're going to back off because Tide does have a Ravage. Did die before he's able to pop that, but it's still a huge win for them. Shegosaurus is going to eat a gush and eventually decide to join the rest of his teammates to back out of the base. Still commanding lead for Insidious Idol.
Commanding, I think, is a bit of an understatement. That is a completely dominating lead. 12k, nearly 14k gold for Insidious Idol, as well as in experience. That is surmounting to a near unclimbable mountain here for Power Play.
Definitely. Well, for now, it's just going to be Insidious Idol to back off and farm on their side of the map. They still have an Aegis on the Faceless Void, although that's going to time out immediately. As soon as I look at the timer, it is going to be gone. But yeah, not going to really matter much. Faceless Void has plenty of item slots to fill, and Insidious Idol can feel pretty comfortable taking this late because of the amount of gold they have on their cores. Templar Assassin does a decent amount of damage, but most of our items are focused on surviving and positioning inside the teamfights. Desolar is the only true damage item, and that's not reliable enough to kill off the Faceless Void. And Ysera, who's going to be working towards the Shivas on the Death Prophet, and I would love to see like a Butterfly on the Faceless Void, or maybe just go for a late Aghanim Scepter. After the rebalance to the ultimate, to where it's a 90-second cooldown at maximum level, getting a 60-second cooldown is still pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. I mean, it's still a completely viable choice, but look at this. The Death Ball is down here ready to just barrel into this second of racks, and I'm wondering how Power Play can really stop this. This is going to hurt. I don't think they can,
feels like it.
I don't think they can take this fight without losing something important.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That first fight that we saw in mid started out in the worst way possible, losing your Ravage. Like, that's so crippling. That's really the spell that they need to connect. That and the Aghanim Scepter Reaper's Scythe. This is Necrophos going into it without buyback. Didn't spend it in the last fight, cost him Elena Barracks, but didn't cost him the second set, so I suppose it was a fine choice. But they'll Chrono in mid. They catch out to focus down Aladdin. They will go into Trick secondarily. He is going to be stunned up. Although the Force Staff's going to keep him a little bit of distance, it's going to be chopped down by the Centaur Warrunner. And now it's pretty clean for them. There's going to be a nice Ravage. Focus down Jed. Will they have enough damage? The Reaper Scythe comes through, kills off the Faceless Void. Not going to be backtracked at all. They will lose their Tide in return, however, and now with the Exorcism going, it's just GG called out by Relax.
There's just nothing they can do. Even with the Reapers, it's just too damn much. 4 heroes still running rampant through your base. So that would be a very hard one for Power Play to have stopped, and the game goes the way of Insidious Idol.
Well, thanks for watching. I'm not sure how much more Dota we're going to have coming your way on this channel, because honestly, I'm not sure what's going on with this schedule. We were supposed to have ended like a couple hours ago, but that just wasn't in the cards for us. Thanks for watching. If you like the casting you see here, you can follow me and my co-caster Black Adder at our Twitter sites, and if you like the casting label as a whole, you can follow us at HeflaTV on Twitter, Facebook, and here on Twitch. The VODs will be uploaded to youtube.com/HeflaMilk momentarily after the broadcast is over for the day, and outside of that, we might have some more games, so stick around if you want to follow the Mineski Pro Gaming League, but I think at least for Black Adder, that's going to be it.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel the fatigue, so I'm going to tap out, and I'll see you guys next time.
Well, sounds good. GG both teams, and see you next time.